Today on the Tim Howard Podcast Show, we've got my mate Marc Gough, the former owner and director of Whitehouse event Crockery, and now the general manager of Inspire
Options Great Hire,
which is the same crockery hire, furniture hire.
Yes, we have been acquired by that company. They're based down in London. They are part of a large group based in France with an annual turnover of €165 million. So the financial backing and the support from this new company. In Manchester, we will be the biggest and the best event hire company in the UK.
When they came to you and they were like, Mark, we want to buy you, we'd like to buy you out, what was your first initial gut feeling as soon as they said it?
Shock, mixed emotions.
How long has Whitehouse been going for at that point?
So Whitehouse has been going for, we're approximately 12 years old. My baby started it from absolutely nothing and I did have a partner. He was more of a silent partner. Started the business we both invested £25,000 each. So we started a business with £50,000. That's it.
What did you see in the market when you were like, at that point, did you see like something amiss in the market?
Yeah, there was really a gap in the market for the kind of products that I really wanted to showcase to the event industry. So there were a lot of high companies out there. However, there were very few high companies who would do charger plates, who would do different coloured glassware, who would do gold cutlery or black cutlery or anything like that. There were very, very, very few. So I saw a very, very niche gap in the market to bring these products to all the caterers and event companies in the UK, and it paid off.
You paid off big time, just growing. Year after year.
Yep. So when I started the business, there was me on my own, just me. So I picked, I packed, I washed, I delivered, I collected, and same again. And again, I had to see clients. Obviously, I was in the industry, I was in the sector, so my name was sort of well known within the industry. However, I believed in what I did. I believed in the product. I believed in the quality. I believed in the service, and that's what it was all about. And I had to work to a budget. I had to start with nothing, and just go with the flow. And I did, and I kept the business as it was. And then we grew. I had a business relationship manager at Royal Bank of Scotland who I used to see on a regular basis, and she believed in me. And 4 years down the line, we hit, which sounds really weird, we hit £100,000 turnover for the year. Nowadays, I do that in a month. So it just goes to show how far we have actually achieved in growing the business. And I just believed in investing in the business. I didn't take a salary for many years. I felt that money was reinvested back in the business, and I just kept reinvesting. And at the time, we have the growth of social media. It was Twitter, Facebook, and then Instagram started, and that just went boom. We did a couple of jobs for a client she was a florist. Who did jobs all over the world. I was asked by a planner, Bruce Russell, to supply all the goods to this event. They wanted gold cutlery. Nobody in the UK had gold cutlery apart from me. However, the gold cutlery that I had were just my samples, and I did not have the stock at that time. And I winged it. And I said, yeah, don't worry, we'll do it. We'll get it sorted. The goods were being flown in for the job on a specific evening, and it was still stuck on a plane that morning, and I was shitting myself. However, as I always have done, believed in what I do, I pulled it off. Got the goods delivered in London at the time it was needed for, and we pulled off this job. And the exposure of working with this specific client, working with Bruce, and just doing this job and having those specific products, we just went boom.
What is it in you, Mark, that kind of enables you to be like that? Do you think? Did you analyse, like, I mean, me and you've talked loads of times, haven't we, about drive and
Yeah.
you know, when your back's against the wall and stuff like that. What is it?
I'm very focused in what I do and what I believe in. If within the industry in the sector, we get one chance at doing a job. There's lots of challenges. We're not like DPD or a courier company or a delivery service where if no one's in, we can just card them or tell them, sorry, no one's there, we'll deliver on Monday. However, the wedding might be on a Saturday or a Sunday, we have to deliver. There's no ifs, whys or buts. And I've believed in that quality of service and level of service has enabled me to focus on how I actually achieve what we do. There's a plan A. If plan A doesn't work, there's a B. If B doesn't work, we've got to Z. We've got all those opportunities to solve a problem, and that's what it's about. It's about solving a problem. I'm also a believer of not necessarily worrying about sleep or worrying at night about solving a job or coming up with a solution to a job. I cannot solve that job at 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night. There's no point keeping awake, my eyes twitching or whatever's going on. I just go to sleep, and I do sleep.
How have you taught yourself to do that though, to actually switch off? Because that's like a superpower, that.
I just believe.
Have you always been like that?
I've always been like that.
No one's taught you that?
No, I've always been like that, and I believe that the following morning I can solve that problem. My mind might race, but it'll race in a different way of not panicking. It'll be racing with a solution, and like I said, I have a solution of B to Z, and we will come up with that solution, whatever the cost, whatever is needed to supply that client for their wedding or event. We will do it. We will make it happen. And that's what I've always believed in, and it's always paid off.
Have you ever questioned yourself? I'm sure you have. And I need to jib this in, I'm going to jack this in. With Whitehouse Crockery. Have there just been moments in time when you're just like, oh, I need to...
Many, many, many times. And I think that's with anybody, with any kind of business. When I first started, I would have to get up at stupid o'clock. I'd have to, because it was only me, so I had to pick, I had to pack, I had to deliver. I'm driving up to Scotland, and Scotland is a journey that you have so much time to think, so much time that runs through your mind. Lots of different scenarios. Why am I doing this? What is my end game? For what reasons are we here? Why? The answer is why. However, again, you have to fight those battles with your mind. And yes, absolutely. Even the progression from, when it was me on my own to employing staff. Again, when you employ staff, you still have problems, and then you question yourself with why am I doing this job, for what reason? And you get to a point, as it happened this year when that knock came on the door with a potential scenario of a buyout of the business. That is when all those thoughts of why am I doing this pays off.
And what were the whys? What were your whys that are coming back to you? What's still giving you that drive?
Passion. I'm very passionate about what I do, and just to be the best at what we do. And I do believe, and I still believe, I did achieve exactly what I wanted from that business. Going back to social media, we grew the business to, and it still is, it's currently at 34,000 followers, and it took a long time to get there. I never spent any money on any kind of advertising. And going back to when I started the business, we apart from the initial £50,000 that we invested within the business, we never borrowed any money whatsoever. None at all.
Wow.
None. Didn't borrow any money. I reinvested every single penny back into that business. I sourced new products. It was about how I source those products, about knowing what to source, about knowing what to buy, about knowing how to sell those products. And I got into a position where we grew the business and constantly grew the business. And I moved, 3 times. I had a unit of 1,000 square foot, and then I moved to 3,000 square foot, and then I moved to a 10,000 square foot. And then you have the worries: how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to pay the rent? I've got wages to pay. But again, I believed in what I did and what I achieved to get to the position where I was back in February, when that knock came on the door, and the belief in a business that saw how I grew my business, what I'd achieved, and what we had become. To know that someone was that serious in potentially buying me out and investing in me for the future.
So when that first initial thing came that I'm going to invest in you hit, were you proud at that moment? Were you thinking, shit, how was your vision to actually have an exit with Whitehouse at some point?
I think it's everyone's vision to have an exit at some stage in their life. I'm 50. Do we want to continue to work for the rest of our lives? I've made a lot of sacrifices, I'm not going to lie. In any business, you have to make sacrifices. You've got to think about the friends' party that you can't go to, your kids' parties that you can't go to.
I think a lot of people don't understand that, do they?
Don't, no.
Especially when people ask me, look, Tim, do you want to come to this? I said, look, I'm sad, I've got to get... And then it's just like all of a sudden I'm the bad guy, and it's like they don't understand that mindset that you're in.
Yeah, the job that I have is not a 9-to-5 job. We may have to do a delivery at a specific time in the morning. We can't just switch off at 5 o'clock in the morning. We don't, I don't switch on at 9 o'clock in the morning. And again, going back to my vision and what I have believed in myself, and those steps to doing that, we all, and I believe everyone has got, inverted commas, I'm going to call it, mental health issues of how we think and how we deal with them and what we do. My passion and what I did and what I still do, I trained with a personal trainer. I go spinning 3-4 times a week. I focus my time. That's at 6 o'clock in the morning is my time. I have no phone calls, no text messages, and I'm focused on one thing. And I have, I'm going to say, 3 people to credit to give a credit to what I have achieved, and I'm going to mention those people. The first one is James Heath, who is my personal trainer. James has been training me for probably now for 4 years, and it's his drive and it's his passion in believing in me, not my business, but believing in me, of what I've achieved in changing my body shape and changing my mindset. I've got to give him credit, and that credit has been fantastic credit.
Because you're not the easiest person to work with, Mark.
No, absolutely not, no. We'll come to the third person soon. We'll say the second person. The second person is Nick Phillips.
Shout out to our Nick.
He may not know that I'm doing this podcast, and he may not know I'm going to mention his name. I have stuck with Nick with Love Cycle. And it's at 6 o'clock in the mornings when I turn up with religiously, on a Tuesday, a Thursday, a Saturday morning. And the times the motivation, he says, you've got 3 minutes to switch your mind. Close your eyes. You've got 3 minutes. Think about your day and everything else. And it makes sense. It absolutely makes sense that time of the morning that I've got out of bed, I'm spinning on a bike, and my mind is racing through what I'm going to do during that day. And it's absolutely right. It's absolutely spot on that you have to give yourself the credit in what you do and what you believe in. You've got yourself out of bed at 6 o'clock in the morning. You've done that. It's the first part of a process. And not necessarily just because I've got out of bed for spinning, I've got out of bed for the rest of the day. My mind's clear. I focus on what I need to do for the rest of the day, and it makes perfect sense. The third person that I'm going to credit is sat in this room is Sophie Stew, who is my partner. She believes in me. She's believed in everything that I've done, and she's very proud of me for what I have achieved. I probably, again, going back to a question that you asked before, I've probably never given myself enough credit personally myself for what I have achieved. I probably still will never give myself enough credit for what I have achieved, and put my business of where it should do, because I credit everyone else for that. Again, I've got a team of 22 members of staff, and if I haven't got those members of staff, I don't have a business. And I thank everyone for doing what they do. We make mistakes, we're only human. However, if I haven't got that team, I have not achieved what I have achieved, and it's taken me the time to build up that team to get to where I am and achieve what I have wanted to achieve.
I think A lot of people get you wrong, mate, when they first meet you, because you've got a certain way about you.
100%.
And I'm gutted for them that they don't get to know you, because underneath that is a really kind, warm-hearted human being who I've become friends with. And just you mentioning 3 people is amazing, mate. Especially Nick, especially Soph.
Yeah.
Shout out to James as well.
Yep. I'm not going to lie.
It's hard, mate. It's hard. I can feel in me what's in you.
Sure.
And when you're saying that, I know what you're saying.
I'm a very passionate person. And I get very frustrated with certain things of aspects of how
it's not done right.
Correct. It's not done right because I know it can be done right because I do it right.
Yeah.
So when someone tells me that they can't deliver something or they can't do something or whatever, and I'm like, you can. You've not done what I've done. You've not thought about that process. You've just thought about option A, and that's it. Type on the computer. Computer says no. There's a B. There's a C. There's a D. There's an E. To Z to solve that problem. And I have, fought my battles with many people about solving that problem. And you're 100% right. Until people get to know me, and I've had this on many occasions where they've gone to me and go, you know what, when I first met you, didn't like you. However, they've got to know me and we've become good friends. Yeah. Not only good friends, is they've understood me. They understood how my mind works. Everyone's mind works differently. Yeah. Some people will get me straight away. You got me straight away because you have that same passion. Other people will get me understanding and knowing the reasons of what I want to achieve.
So the acquisition of Whitehouse Crockery, let's talk about that now, because this is a massive thing, this, isn't it? Yeah. You're like, built this baby up, 12 years, you're like, successful, thinking, right, I want to give my baby up? How do you go through that process in your head of giving your baby up?
Currently, I still have my baby.
Yeah.
The transition will be fully complete with regards to there'll be only one business as options Great Hire in January, and and it's not sort of kind of hit me yet. I'm still in control of that. I'm still running that business, and I'll still run that business as if it's my business. It's not my business anymore. I've been acquired. Someone else owns that business. However, I'm currently still paying the bills. I'm still generating the business. I'm still paying the staff, and I'm still running that business the same, as if it's mine. Because technically, it is still. It is and it isn't. And moving forward, when I do go to options, Great Hire, and I'm managing the Northwest depot. We will be in a 35,000 square foot building. I'll probably have to manage about 50 members of staff. I will still treat that as my baby, because I put my heart and my soul and my passion. And I think that sometimes you see that difference in when you do speak to people, the passion of what they're doing for someone else's business is great. Some people are just 9 to 5. They go in at 9 o'clock. They just tap on the computer, do what they want to do, go home at 5 o'clock, and they don't care what goes on outside those windows. However, they may have a detrimental effect of something that they've done wrong. They don't care about. And I struggle with those people. Yeah. Whereas I do have a good team round me who have the same, inverted commas, drive and passion as me, and will make it successful. So, from them coming to do the acquisition of you, just tell me about that process. What actually happens? You've got to go backwards and forwards. You're like in a bit of limbo. Very stressful. I'm not going to lie, it was immensely stressful. Is it the most stressful time of all the 12 years you've been through? Was that the most? Because you don't know if it's going to through. Is it going to go through? The most stressful time I had was COVID. We can talk about that in a minute. Was COVID time. An acquisition is very, very stressful because you've got to open your books. You've got to be truthful. You've got to be honest. Because if you lie and you talk shit and you produce a load of shit, you're going to get found out. And I will tell anyone that is just keep it straight. Whatever you do, because if you're going to tell someone that your business is worth 10 million and it's only worth 1 million, they're going to know, and they're going to pull out the deal. What was it worth at the time when they acquired it? Can we say that? No, can't. Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't divulge in the financial information. However, and again, it's valuing a business. the value that I may have in my head of a business to evaluation of what someone else has is very, very difficult, especially the nature of our business. And again, it's all about due diligence, it's all about goodwill, and future work as well, and future business. However, I had to have a financial audit, which took, it was literally a full day sat in a meeting with the financial director of Options Great Hire, who flew over from France, and we are going through every single aspect of the financial information of the business. How many, your last 3 years that you file your VAT, the last 3 years of filing your corporation tax, the last 3 years of paying your national insurance contributions, paying your staff, everything's got to match. What's that invoice for? Where is it on the bank statement? Everything has got to tie up. And yes, and I believed in what, I'm not going to lie, I was very nervous. However, I knew that there was no skeletons in the closet, and I knew everything was right, and everything was right. Because again, any business who is acquiring someone else's business, they can pull the plug at any time. And then you've also got the financial, the solicitor's costs, astronomical. But that's what you're paying your solicitor for, to act on my behalf, to make sure I get the best deal for myself, for the future, for myself.
So there's no insurance or anything like that? If they literally pulled out at the last minute, all the solicitor's fees,
Correct. You have to pay. Yep. Correct.
How do you go through that? How do you... listen, how do you sleep at night knowing that? Again,
I believe in myself, and I believe that what I was doing and what I was saying, and the whole deal was, going through the deal, it was not just about...
Because you told me, I'm just like, has it happened yet? You went, no, not yet. I'm like, Mark, it's been like, fucking...
Well, they wanted to do the deal. They when I first initially had the conversation, which was on a February, literally several hours before I was about to board a flight to go buying for the business and then going on holiday with Sophie, I get that phone call, and so much is racing through my head. How much am I going to get? How much is the business worth? What if this? What if that? Are my staff coming with me? Because they could have turned around and says, we're not interested in your staff. We just want the name of the business. We just want you. I'm not interested in your staff. However, I wanted the deal to include my staff. They are part of the deal. They are part of the package. Everybody comes with me, and I mean everybody. No one is made redundant. We got to that conclusion. They wanted to do the deal in 3 months, and at the time we'd only just filed the previous year's accounts, so I had to then file another set of accounts. So again, that was immensely stressful.
So obviously you've got to stop buying as well. If you get in,
I had to stop everything. I had to. Obviously, we signed an agreement, an NDA, and I put everything on hold. We'd obviously spoken previously at the time, and we were going through a rebrand, and I invested so much time, so much effort, and not only just a rebrand, a new website. Everything had to stop. Was not allowed to buy anything, and potentially that could have been damaging to my business if they would have pulled out, because 3 months down the line or 4 months down the line, I'm without stock, and they could say, no, we don't want to buy you now. We're not interested in you, and I've got to continue to trade, and I'm now potentially a year behind because I haven't got I've not invested in the business in new stock. So it was immensely challenging, immensely stressful, mentally stressful. And again, though, my coping mechanism was my training at 6 o'clock in the morning with James, with Nick, spending my time with Sophie on holiday, switching off, which I don't do very well. But yeah, immensely stressful, because they could turn around. They can literally pull the plug the last minute.
You've got to give yourself some credit, mate. Have you not?
I've got some balls.
Yeah, but hey, listen, we've always known that from the first moment I met you. You had them. It's like, you must at some point sit there and just look and reflect and understand what you've accomplished. It's massive.
Yeah,
isn't it? Look, it's cool you're talking to other people, but
I do. I sort of look, and I have, and Sort of going back to COVID time, I'm going to jump back to COVID times when our sector, we shut down. We shut down for 18 months. Very stressful time for our sector, and unfortunately we lost a lot of fellow competitors, fellow industry people who just simply could not survive. And because of the nature of how I always ran my business, I owned everything. I had no debt whatsoever. No, I didn't. Not only did I have no debt, I also had cash in the bank, which I managed to get through those times. And during the COVID times, I never stayed at home. I went to work every single day. I was sat in the office on my own every single day, until the times I had someone else in the office, because I had to deal with hundreds of brides and grooms and couples of moving their dates, emails that I had to continually deal with to change their date, not once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. I never charged those people to move those dates. And then I used to go into the warehouse on my own, and I used to just walk in and I looked round, and it was sad because I've built up this massively successful business, and at that time we were going to have our record year that year. And I looked around, and then you think, what have I done this for? And then I look around and go, wow, I have achieved this. I've got all this stock on the shelf. I've got all these glasses. I've got all these plates. I've got all this cutlery. And that's some serious investment that I've put into the business. And seeing it sat there idle, it broke my heart. It broke my heart. And I was a big advocate in the sector to potentially get recognised by the government, to get financial support for everybody. Well, I wasn't looking for financial support just for me, it was for everybody. Yes, I got grants, but I had to fight for those grants. Nothing came easy. However, it was just reward. I would rather have been working and trading as a business than my door closed for 18 months. And looking back now, and looking at the business now, I do look at the warehouse, and I still look at the warehouse, and I go, wow. And I see all the staff and the wage bill at the end of the month that I don't have to worry about anymore. And if you've got a wage bill of 30 to 35,000 pounds, as anyone would know, to have a wage bill that high, you are bringing in some serious money because you've got to pay those wages. And it's scary and it's stressful. However, that's something I thrive on. I thrive on the stress. I thrive on the success that I have done that wedding. Not that just that one wedding of that weekend. It's the 80 or 90 jobs that we do that one weekend. If it wasn't for us, they wouldn't have what they wanted on their special day.
You're focusing on them beautiful moments, because without you, they wouldn't have had them moments.
Correct, yeah.
And has that always been your why?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. It's one of the reasons why... it's been one of the reasons of the success of the business is the service that we give those clients, the delivery. We've delivered there. At the end of the day, those 80 to 90 people, they don't care about the other 79 people. They are interested in their job, their wedding. They don't care I've got another 79 other jobs that I have to deliver and make them happy. So the focus is slightly flipped, that I have to keep happy 80 to 90 people a week. That the client is only interested in their one job. They don't care whether someone else's job doesn't get delivered. They just want their one job delivered. And we achieve that. And I can, hand on heart, I have never not delivered a job.
Never?
Never. Nope. We have achieved, again, I will give you this kind of financial information. The period of the start of Whitehouse to beginning of the year, the end of the financial year, back in April, we have achieved just under £5 million of turnover of the business. And if I accumulated the number of jobs that we have done, the number of charger plates that we have sent out, the number of glassware we have sent out, the number of cutlery that we have sent out, in those 12 years, I can put my hand on heart that I have never not delivered one of those jobs.
That's insane, that, mate.
It is insane.
Isn't it, when you just think about it? I'm trying to weigh it up in my head.
Yeah, and I can give you some statistics on the busy times of the year when we do those 80 to 90 jobs a week. We can send out 6,000 to 7,000 charger plates. We can send out 20,000 glasses, 20,000 pieces of cutlery. It's got to in, out, washed, picked, packed, in, out, washed, picked, packed. We have never, not once, not delivered a job. I'm not going to lie, there have been many times we have flown by the seat of our pants where there's been a problem, we've delivered something wrong, we've under-delivered by 5 plates, or we've sent the wrong glass. However, if I get a phone call from a client and it's our problem, I will solve that problem. They will get those plates, they will get those glasses, they will get those pieces of cutlery. If it's our problem, it's my problem, and I will fix that problem.
And is that why Whitehouse was so successful?
I believe it is.
That word got around.
Absolutely. And also because, again, the niche of the business. Like I said, there are many hire companies out there. However, not many of them could provide 45 different coloured choices of a charger plate. They couldn't produce, they couldn't offer the 15 or 20 coloured glasses that we had, the range of cutlery that we had, and the volume and the numbers that we had as well in those ranges. I believe that very few hire companies out there could do what we do, and that's also been a great success. And it's been a great, because we've been so niche. You could, if you want a pink tumbler and you want a lime green charger plate and you want a black and gold cutlery, you can only come to one business. So again, I've focused on those kind of elements as well. However, it's not just about having the product, it's about providing the service and delivering the service as well. That's
insane, that, isn't it? I'm trying to analyse in my head. You've been going that long and not once have you not delivered?
Not once. Am I right? Not once. It's been stressful, don't get me wrong. I get the phone call. That goes back to the sacrifices that I've had to make for my time. It may be on a Saturday or a Sunday where we all want our weekend off, or I'm going spinning and I get a phone call. I'm 10 charger plates short. You need to deliver it. Fine, I'll deliver it. I sacrifice, so I would have to sacrifice my time. Yes, I've got a bigger team who can then jump in to solve those problems. They're very few and far between. Based on the number of jobs that we do, we're only human. We make mistakes. But again, it's those sacrifices that I've sacrificed my time, my freedom, my son's football match, not going to a party, not going to meeting my mum for lunch or whatever. I sacrificed that time to provide that service that I have offered to someone and delivered that service.
People just don't understand the sacrifices.
They don't. They really, really don't.
A lot of people try to start up businesses and stuff like that, and then they don't know the sacrifices, how lonely it can be, even though you've got a partner. You're in your own thoughts.
Yeah, when I started, it is the loneliness. You want to bounce things off people. You've got no one to talk to. You're in a warehouse on your own. You've got to wash. You've got to wash 200 glasses because someone else wants those 200 glasses. You've got to wash it. You've got to just get it out and you've got to deal with it. And it is the sacrifices. It's the sacrifices of, the financial sacrifices. There's all that to consider. A lot of people who start businesses, they go, right, I'm starting my business. I want to be driving the top of the range Range Rover or BMW or Mercedes, or I want to live in this house. You can't live in this house and you can't drive that car and you can't have that holiday because you need to generate the business. And if you don't generate the business, you've got nothing. And if you solely focus on that, yes, we've got to make those sacrifices. And there's a lot of sacrifices to make. Friendships, relationships, your time with your children, to spend time with your children. You've got to make those sacrifices. And there's lots of ways to balance it. And I would say to anyone who is starting a business and has to think very hard about what they want to achieve, you've got to make sacrifices. Not only have you got to make those sacrifices, you've also got to give yourself your own time. Time with those people that you want to spend with. But it may be an hour, you may have to go, right, we'll do a date night, but you stick religiously to that date night. Gym. Go to the gym. But go to the gym, don't go to the gym at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever. There's many gyms which are 24 hours. Go at 5 o'clock in the morning. Go at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's the times when no one can get hold of you. No one can disturb you. And focus on yourself to realise the dream and what you can achieve. And that's what I did. That's what I did. Those people who I've mentioned have made me focus and made me understand and realise that focusing on yourself for those special things, you get to the end game.
And the one that's switching off at night's massive for
100%,
me.
100%, yeah. I can switch off at night. I can go to sleep and not worry about anything that night. Am I right? Mm-hmm. I may be thinking about, okay, fine, I need to get that job needs to go here, that job needs to go there. I'll deal with it in the morning. There's no point solving that problem at night. Because I can't do anything at night. I'll deal with it in the morning. And then while I'm training or spinning or whatever I'm doing at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, that plan B or that plan C will come to my head. And there's been many times where, I've been in situations where, I've got stock arriving and it's on a container ship and that stock is needed for that week, and I've had a phone call that ship is not docking. And then I'll walk out the building and I'll get my head together. I'll pick up my keys, I'll drive, I'll go for a coffee, and then I'll think, what do I do? And then I come up with a solution. Because there is a solution to every single problem. There's no point of turning around to someone and go, sorry, I can't do that. There's no such word as no. I don't believe in the word no. I'm sorry. And I get fed up of being fobbed off. I'm a solution. I find a solution to every single problem. I find an answer to that problem. And that's where I get frustrated when I'm fobbed off, constantly fobbed off. Because they don't know my background, they don't know me, they don't know what I have achieved. And there's no such word as no.
What's the one thing that you're constantly working on yourself to get better at? In business, in life, in...
Biggest problem I have is time management. I'm shit at time.
Right.
And I've always been shit at time because when I'm doing something, I think it's going to take an hour, but it's probably 3 hours. Even when I'm working, or I'm and again, as a business owner, I will go out delivering jobs. I will go out picking jobs. I will be part of that team. No one knows who I am. They just think I'm a delivery driver. And again, and the weekends, I will go out at weekends and help the guys do jobs. And I think, I'm just going to be 2 hours, 4 hours later. But I am really poor at time management. Really poor.
Mark, I just want to thank you, mate, for coming on. Appreciate it. It's going to give a lot of people a lot of value, this.
Good.
Just the morning, the night.
Yeah.
The understanding what sacrifice is and...
There's so many sacrifices. So you have to sacrifice certain elements of your life. However, the reward is there, and I'm proof the reward is there. May not happen to everybody, but you have to believe in yourselves. You've got to believe in what you do, believe in the business that you have. Focus. Again, I'm gonna mention the word debt. Don't have debt. Try and avoid the debt. Try and come up with an alternative to avoid having that debt. Sacrifice something else. Don't think about getting that car that month. Change. Get it the following month or get it the following year when you can afford that car. Or if it's a member of staff, look at that. Do I need to take the money for myself and thank myself for the bonus, or do I invest that money in a member of staff? If you invest that money in a member of staff, you then grow in the business. And then you can have another member of staff, and then you can take the salary that you want. But you have to believe in what you do.
I think we're going to wrap it up there.
No problem.
Thank you so much, mate. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Goodbye.